Most people think success is loud. They imagine motivation, energy, confidence, big speeches, big wins. They picture the championship celebration, the viral moment, the breakthrough announcement. But the truth is far less exciting. Success is quiet. In fact, the habit that separates winners from everyone else is something nobody posts about, something nobody celebrates, something that doesn't trend. It's not talent, it's not intelligence, and it's definitely not luck. It's what you do when nobody is watching. And here's what nobody tells you. That's where your entire life is actually decided. Think about this for a moment. Every single night, when a world slows down, when messages stop, when there's no audience, no notifications, no pressure, that's where lives quietly split in two directions. One group numbs themselves, scrolling endlessly, binge-watching shows they don't even enjoy, escaping the day instead of processing it. The other group does something boring but powerful. They prepare, not loudly, not perfectly, just consistently. They read a few pages of something meaningful. They think about what went wrong today. They write down ideas. They plan tomorrow with intention. They improve something small that nobody will notice. No applause, no validation, no likes or comments, just progress. And here's the part that stings. Both groups are tired. Both groups deserve rest. Both groups work hard. But one group rests by avoiding themselves. The other rests by building themselves. Same hours, same exhaustion, completely different futures. Now here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to hear. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they avoid silence. Silence is terrifying because silence exposes questions. Am I wasting my potential? Am I really trying? Or just pretending? Why am I still stuck in the same place? What am I actually afraid of? These questions don't show up during the busy day. They wait for the quiet. So people stay distracted on purpose. They fill every gap with noise, entertainment, other people's content, anything to avoid being alone with their own thoughts. But winners, they don't run from silence. They use it because silence is where clarity shows up. That's where excuses sound weak. That's where discipline is actually built. That's where self-respect begins. When you keep promises to yourself that nobody else knows about. Think about the people you admire. The ones who seem focused, grounded, intentional. They're not smarter than you. They're not more talented. They just have a different relationship with being alone. During the day, everyone looks similar. Same jobs, same routines, same faces in the same meetings. But at night, that's when effort becomes invisible. An invisible effort is the most powerful kind. Nobody sees the nights, but everyone sees the results. That's why success looks sudden from the outside. People say, "You got lucky. It happened fast. You changed overnight." No, they just weren't there for the part that mattered. They never saw the quiet nights, the boring repetition, the moments you didn't quit when quitting would have been easier. They see the result and assume it was magic. But it wasn't magic. It was consistency in the dark. And maybe right now, as you're listening to this, you feel behind. You feel unnoticed. Like nothing is moving. Like everyone else is progressing and you're just stuck. Let me tell you something important. That doesn't mean nothing is happening. It might mean you're in the invisible phase. The phase where growth doesn't announce itself. Where discipline doesn't feel rewarding yet. Where motivation disappears completely and only commitment remains. This phase is rare, not because it's hard to enter, but because most people leave it too early. They want proof. They want feedback. They want someone to tell them it's working. But real progress doesn't ask for permission. It continues anyway. So let's talk about what actually happens in those quiet hours. What do winners do that everyone else skips? First, they think, not passively, not while scrolling. They actually sit with their thoughts. They ask themselves, what worked today? What didn't? What I need to change? Most people never ask these questions. They just repeat the same day over and over, wondering why nothing improves. Second, they plan, not elaborate plans, not complicated systems, just simple clarity. Tomorrow, these three things matter most. That's it. But that small act means they wake up with direction, not confusion. Third, they learn, not for a degree, not to impress anyone. They learn because they're curious about getting better. 10 pages, one article, one concept. It compounds. Fourth, they rest intentionally. There's a difference between rest and escape. Rest restores you. Escape numbs you. Winners rest. Losers escape. And finally, they build evidence for themselves. Every quiet night where they show up for themselves, even when they don't feel like it, that's evidence. Evidence that they can be trusted. Evidence that they're serious. Evidence that they're becoming someone different. That evidence is what carries you through doubt. Now let's talk about why most people quit before they ever see results. It's not because the work is too hard. It's because the silence is too loud. When you're alone with your goals, there's no crowd cheering, no validation, no proof it's working, just you and the work. And that feeling, that empty feeling, makes people think they're doing it wrong. So they stop. They go back to what feels comfortable, what feels social, what feels seen. But here's what they don't realize. That empty feeling, that's not failure. That's progress without applause. And progress without applause is the only kind that lasts. Because if you need external validation to keep going, you'll stop the moment it disappears. But if you can keep going in silence, you're unstoppable. Think about it. Every single person who's ever done something meaningful went through a phase where nobody believed it was working. Not even them sometimes. But they kept going anyway. Not because they were confident. Not because they had proof. Because they decided that who they become in the silence matters more than who they appear to be in public. So here's the question that actually matters. Not are you talented? Not are you lucky? But this. When life goes quiet, who are you becoming? Not online, not for others, not in the moments when someone's watching, but alone. Because that version of you, the one nobody sees, is the one your future is built on. That's the version that shows up when things get hard, when motivation runs out, when the plan falls apart. That's the version that decides whether you quit or keep going. And the people who win, they win quietly first. They become the person privately before they ever achieve the thing publicly. They don't wait for permission. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't wait for someone to notice. They just quietly, consistently, boringly show up for themselves. Night after night after night. And then one day, people notice. But by then, the winner doesn't need them to. Because they already know who they are. So if you're watching this and you feel invisible right now, good. That might mean you're exactly where you need to be. In the phase where nobody's watching. Where nothing feels exciting. Where progress is slow and silent. This is the phase most people skip. But it's also the phase where everything is decided. Because what you do in the quiet becomes who you are in public. Your discipline in private becomes your confidence in public. Your honesty with yourself in the dark becomes your integrity in the light. Your consistency when nobody's watching becomes your credibility when everyone is. So don't rush this phase. Don't skip it. Don't wish it away. This is where you're being built. And the best part? You don't need anyone's permission to start. Tonight, when a world goes quiet, when the distractions fade, you can choose to become someone different. Not loudly. Not dramatically, just quietly, consistently, powerfully, because success isn't loud. It never was. It's built in the silence. And if you can master the quiet hours, you'll win the loud days. The question is, will you?